G'day guys. So today's video is very important, probably the most important video. It's a dreary old day here in Melbourne. It's raining, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about, as I said, the most important aspect. It's about scammers. I don't want you guys to get scammed online. It's becoming more and more popular. There's a lot more scammers out there trying to hook your money. So these are my top 10 tips to keep safe in retirement from scammers. So number one is always be skeptical when you receive unsolicited contacts, via email or messages or telephone calls. If you don't know the people, always be skeptical. One thing that I use on my phone all the time, I've got a Google Pixel phone, and one of the really great benefits of having that phone, and it was one of the main reasons I got it, is because it's got a screen calling feature on it. So I get about, I reckon, at least 5 or 6 telephone calls every single day from telephone numbers that I don't know. And a lot of those are mobile numbers, and I've got a button on my phone where I just press the screen and it says screen call. And what that does is it actually, my Google phone talks to the caller to say that this call is being screened, and it talks to them. And then if the people don't leave a message, then I know it's a scam. 99% of the time they call, I don't recognise the number, I send it to the screening and they just hang up straight away. So that saves me a lot of aggro. So I would highly recommend using that feature if you've got it. My second tip is never share your personal information with people if you haven't verified that they're a legitimate company. So, people ring up and they'll ask you for some information. You don't have to give it to them. So I've done that a couple of different times, actually. People have called and they've said they're from this agency or that agency, and I don't give them my personal information. I refuse to give it to them until they can confirm that they are from who they, say they're from. So never give out your personal information until you can confirm their true identity. Number 3, very important, make sure you use unique long passwords. In the past, people just used to use a password across lots of different sites and services so that they wouldn't forget it. Now that's good that you won't forget it, but as soon as it gets broken into or hacked, then it gets put up on the dark web, and then people will use that to try to gain access to all your different services. So for example, never use the same password on your bank as you do when you're logging into things like Google or Facebook or whatever. The other thing that I do is I use a password manager, so I'd highly recommend you use a password manager. I used to use a company called OnePass that was very popular, and then they actually got hacked. So then I changed over, a few years ago, I changed over to Google Password Manager. Now you can use Google, or Microsoft has got theirs, but those companies are massive, and if they get hacked, if their service gets hacked, it would be a huge blow to their whole company. Their company, both companies rely on their online presence, so their security is unbelievably good. So I use Google Password Manager. The other benefit of using Password Manager is if you use that all the time, upload all your passwords, it searches the dark web to see if that password has been uploaded to the dark web. So in the past, a couple of my old passwords, Google got into the dark web, had a look, and someone had hacked into those passwords. So they're sharing around on the dark web. So if you use something like Google Password Manager, it searches through all your passwords, and if they are found on the dark web, it says change this password now. And the passwords are very long and they're random, so I would definitely recommend using a password manager. That's very important. The next thing is implement 2-factor authentication. You might have already heard about this, but lots of people have integrated that into their systems now. So for example, your bank account, when you log into your bank account, you can set up 2-factor authentication. So if someone tries to log into your bank account, it'll send you a text message with, normally it's a number or a code on your text message, and then you select that to gain access to your bank account. So, and some of the banks now in Australia, they send you a message to say, you know, that they are using the system as well. So highly recommended. Two-factor authentication it's called. So if you can implement that, do it. The next thing is when you're online, avoid clicking on suspicious links. So if you're accessing websites and things through the internet, you should be able to hover over the link, and then down the bottom of the browser it'll pop up and it'll show you where the link is sending you to, what address it's sending you to. So that's a really good way to protect yourself. Just hover over the link. If you think the link looks dodgy, then I would not click on it. The other thing too, while we're talking about this, is PDFs. PDFs have been shown to be malicious, so they can get in. Once you download it to your system, they can get in and gain access to your system. So you've got to be really careful about PDF documents too. Only download PDFs from companies that you know and you trust. The next one that scammers try to use all the time is they try to make it a sense of urgency, right? So whatever you have to do, you've got to do it now, straight away. You've got to do that, click on this link or take this action or give them this information because time's running out, you've got to do it. So just be aware that scammers use that tactic and don't fall for it. Take your time, make sure you verify before you do anything. That's really important. Don't get rushed. The next one is never share the real personal information like your bank account details or your social security numbers and things like that. Be very careful sharing that sort of those details online, because once the scammers have got that information, it gives them access to do lots of other things. So you've got to be really careful. Don't give out that information. The next one that I'd highly recommend is that when you log into a public Wi-Fi system, so let's say you're at a shopping centre or a cafe or an airport or wherever, if they've got a public Wi-Fi system that you can just log into, you should always use a VPN, a virtual private network. Now you can register for these VPNs, download the software and install it, and then if you've got a VPN, that means that people can't track you. So that's really important. If you log into a Wi-Fi on a public network, please get a VPN. They're very cheap, so that's again very important aspect. VPN, a virtual private network. You can just search for it. There's lots of companies that offer it, and it's very cheap, like a couple of dollars for a year, and then that'll protect you when you're on a public network, public Wi-Fi network. So get a VPN. The next one is when you're purchasing things online. There's lots of online shopping sites, and virtually you can buy anything online now, but you've got to be very careful with the companies that you purchase things online. Like, I know that there is a company that advertises a lot. I get a lot of emails from this company. They start with TEE, and then there's a couple of extra letters, but I know that if you sign up or if you buy something from that company, then they just constantly spam you, and it's really hard to stop them emailing you or texting you or contacting with you. I've heard lots of stories online about people trying to block them and they get around it. So it's very, it's really bad that that particular company does it, and other companies would do it as well. But be very careful who you buy hardware and software, and who you buy things through when you're online. So hopefully those tips will help you. One last thing that I want to say that's really stuck with me. There's a saying that it can take years to build up your wealth or build up your money, and it can just take a second to lose it all from online scams. So if you remember anything from this video, remember that. Be very careful. All right, I hope you're having a good day. I hope the weather's a little bit better where you are. It's rainy and dreary here in Melbourne. And thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Hopefully you're not going to tell me any stories about you being scammed. But yeah, just put your comments down below, and I'll speak to you soon. All right, bye-bye.